Hi guys, it's Jacob from Stringbuzz here, stringbuzzworld.org being the music journalism site, links it in the description down below. And I'm wearing my Tenacious D top from when I saw them on their Rise of the Phoenix tour, thought I'd just add that anyway. But you don't care about that, you're probably wondering why I'm even uploading this segment, because I did say on the Facebook, as well as we all agreed, that we were going to go on a bit of a Christmas break until the 28th or so, because there's been technical faults, all that sort of stuff. But I thought this is our sort of cream of the crop, and it's our bread and butter when it comes to EPs. Obviously we have, our whole site is dedicated to independent music, so we have a whole wealth of independent EPs come through all the time, as well as the signed stuff as well. We go through all of that as well, so we thought we'd actually upload a segment before Christmas, spread the Christmas cheer, if you would, about EPs, just to get something up, which actually is more important to us as well. So we've composed a list, which actually went up about a week ago or so up on the site, but I thought I'd put it on the YouTube channel, because obviously we have an audience on here that probably haven't seen it as well. So anyways, I'm going to refer to the original article, so I hope you enjoy. So this year we've had a wealth of content to look over, reviewing independent and newly signed artists and their EPs. This year, and this might be a bit of a brash statement, I know, we've had perhaps the best independent music exposure of all time, and I'm so impressed by such a large amount of bands and singers, especially in the UK. I think the UK have really stepped up their game after having a bit of a lackluster last few years or so, but I think now we're sort of beginning to hit back at the American market, as well as Europe as well. The rest of Europe has had a really good year this year with EPs and albums, and this list should hopefully include some of those, some examples of that. So it is our pleasure to catalogue some of the best we've heard this year into just a small little list, so I hope you enjoy. So I'll just go over our honourable mention before we actually get into the list, and that's We Are Adorned by the group Adorned, a UK based band. If you haven't already heard of them, they're an independent group. Adorned were one of the first groups to have an independent feature on our original site, so that's the site back in music season days. That was before stringbuzz.org and before stringbuzzworld.org. We've had over 75 EP submissions since then, and that's just in the independent category, and yet these guys still reign true with their outstanding EP We Are Adorned. With influences like Brit rock and alternate rock, they've got all sorts of they reminded me a lot of like an early Blur slash a later Oasis when they're a bit more mature. I just sunk my teeth into this one without knowing really anything about the group at all, and it was so worth it. Each track just had a huge payoff, sounded unique, and helped start the independent movement, if I'm totally honest, that is now the backbone of this journalism site. So huge props have to go out to them for this effort. So now we're going to actually get into the list. So here with number 5 we have Fool's Dream by Future Theory. Now Future Theory are just that, the theoretical future of music in my opinion. These guys are going to be huge, and this EP was just a taster of what comes in the future. They were actually nominated by Fender as one of the better groups, one of the better EPs of the year, and deservedly so. I remember hearing this thing and being gobsmacked at the professionalism in both the production and the song forms. They were experimental yet centered around a strong song style. They were innovative yet still strangely current as well. Even though they had a sort of 70s nostalgic type sound, it seems so current as well. Obviously they've got some modern flavours in there, obviously being so young as well, and they just impress me further and further on each re-listen. Check out these guys whenever you really get the free time. Again, another independent group, so they definitely deserve to be on this list. So here at number 4 we have Scopes by Alternate Function, and if you didn't hear, Fish Tank broke up last week, the same Fish Tank that are actually one of my favourite bands of all time, but luckily enough we have Alternate Function, aka Fish Tank but younger with less boundaries. On the re-listen, this EP just took the words from my mouth. It was experimental and exciting to hear unfold, and there are some tracks on here which only narrowly miss out from our track of the year list. Can't wait to see what these guys really do next, and they're definitely deserved of this number 4 spot. On to number 3 now, we actually have the self-titled EP by The Brinks. This one was just easy to listen to, and easy to listen to over and over again, with some fantastic tracks that really harken back to the golden era of rock. It was a delight to hear each track unfold. With one of my favourite independent tracks of the year on this EP, definitely the catchiest track of the year, independent track that is. It would have been a shock to the system if any of these guys beat them to this number 3 spot, deserving of their placement and a breath of fresh air in the genre, which is actually going through a bit of a rough time. As we all know, rock is being a bit, I don't know, phoned in at the moment, and there's a lot of foul words really going towards the rock category, but there are some great groups. These guys have proved it with this EP, and it was a pleasure to listen to this EP in particular. Coming in at number 2, we have Infinity by Dan James Griffin in our penultimate type spot. Did you know that Dan actually sees that this EP is some of his weakest work, and that's what a way to rub it in. This EP is an audio spectacle with some of the greatest guitar performances of the year laid into it. It's progressive with a hint of ambient production about it, basically my two favourite things wrapped in one. Of course, his track Darnell hit our list pretty high up for track of the year, and yet again it has been a pleasure to re-listen to this album and add it onto this list. Definitely check this one out. He's got a couple EPs that are already out. They're all brilliant as well. He's got some new material that's going to be released next year, which he's really hyping up at the moment, so I'm very excited to see that, because he's quite a, humble guy, and he doesn't really like talking about his music so much, but to see him so excited about a project really excites me. Coming in at number 1, we actually have Carve by Usalu, and it's no surprise really to anybody that's been following the site. These guys have to be signed very soon. I mean, it's a shock that these guys are still an independent group when they're one of the best in their category at the moment. And I feel like a broken record going on about these guys now, but that's what happens when you basically shock a critic. When you produce something that becomes the baseline for all reviews, you're going to be spoken about a lot. And this EP had 3 of 4 potential candidates for our Song of the Year placement, with one even reaching the list at a whopping number 5. So they even had a song on this EP which was number 5 in the year, being an independent group, and that's just kind of crazy to me. It just blew me away, the whole EP did. It's progressive, it's developmental, and it's so professionally excellent. I just don't understand how you could dislike the project from listening to this. It's their best work they've released so far, and I can't wait to see what 2017 really brings to them. So yeah, if you like this whole list, I guess you could say, then please leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye.